All right, morning, everybody. So this is the meeting of the Stockbridge Bowl Stewardship Committee. And we are meeting on July 1st at Town Hall. And I hope that you've all received the minutes. I think Jamie sent the minutes of the last month's meeting, and I guess we have to approve those. Is everyone,
No, that's not on the agenda.
don't we normally have to approve these?
Yeah, we can just,
We're holding off.
Do it
because
next-
we have
The next time?
reorganization.
All right. Well, then, if we want to follow the agenda, let's talk about the first item on the agenda, which is the reorganization. And I think, Patrick, were you involved in some of the reorganization
I
discussion?
think the reorganization is really a question of electing the chair and the vice chair. It is up to the members who choose their chair and their vice chair.
Okay. So what we're.
Fiscal year starts today.
The fiscal year is today,
First
right.
day of the rest of our lives, so it's, yes.
Okay, so we probably should get nominations from the voting members for chairperson. And does anyone have anyone? Michael?
I'd like to nominate Roxanne for the chair, position of the
Is there a
chair.
second? There's a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. All right.
Anyone against?
Well, let's see if anybody also wants to nominate anyone else.
yeah.
Oh, is that how?
Just vote,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any nominations from the floor? Anyone on Zoom?
I can't nominate.
No.
All right.
Oh, is everybody here from the committee is here? Nobody's
Everyone
on
is
Zoom?
here?
That's the ones.
Oh,
Well, then, Roxanne, welcome as the chairperson of this committee.
Now can we do it vice chair again?
Yes, and John, would you like to continue as the vice chair?
I offer it to the committee or to the members. What would they like to do with the vice chair? Michael?
I'd like to nominate John for the vice chair.
I'll second.
Second?
Second.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? I guess
Aye.
be vice chair.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you. All right. I think we should discuss the frequency. Right now,
Do you want to keep doing it or you just elect your chair to?
well, that's true. Now that
He liked
Roxanne,
it. He was getting into
I
it.
can keep going.
He was getting into it.
Roxanne, would you take it over, please?
Thanks. It's defined in the bylaws, so basically, and I don't think I put the dates here, but I believe it is March through November. We're supposed to meet twice a month. And in the wintertime, in the remaining months, it's once a month because there's not as much of a need typically. Unless there is a need based on what's going on, then we could always call an additional meeting or two. And we had voted, when we first started, we had voted to do the first and third Wednesdays. And then when John came on, he couldn't do Wednesdays, so we changed it to the first and third Fridays. But it's up to this group to determine if that still works for everybody.
Can we do site visit meetings on Michael's pontoon boat for our meetings? I'm just,
Don't sidetrack this. Before anything, I'd like to welcome our new member.
John has not, John Hart hasn't been.
about to be a member.
Oh, he hasn't been. Oh.
So he
I'll welcome
apparently
you
is
next time then.
the choice of the
Whatever.
Conservation Commission. And
Right.
we're glad that you're here, John, but unfortunately you haven't been
You have to be
officially
confirmed.
appointed.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
you're
sorry
welcome
about
to
it.
be here. We're
Sorry
glad
about
you're
it.
here.
I will say this, and that is that due to my summer schedule, I'm probably a temporary member.
Okay. I thought he was a member, right.
So I shouldn't make any more jokes, is that it?
So the bottom line
The end
is,
of
and especially for you, John, because we don't know, are 8 o'clock on Fridays okay with you? Because this is an early morning meeting.
No, it doesn't work for me, but if I have to suck it up, I will.
Well, you can always zoom in.
That's true.
You could join, you know.
Pajamas.
No, I'm up, I'm just not functioning.
Okay. So how do we feel about keeping the schedule as it's been? Okay, so it'll remain the first and third Fridays. And I just want to make a comment about this. If it turns out, for whatever reason, we don't have a quorum or, you know, the hybrid is not working, something like that happens, then I'd like to be able to call a makeup meeting. In other words, it might be the second or it might be the fourth if we miss a meeting. So is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All righty, moving on then. So we need to review the status of the lake management plan and determine the next steps. Now, I did reach out to GZA, to Steve Roy and Chris Main. I did not hear back. This was Tuesday. And I've unfortunately had to work all week. But I haven't missed a call from them. I haven't seen an email from them. So we need to determine, is everything copacetic? Do they have everything they need? And if not, then we're going to have to nail down exactly what else they need. I know there was one piece that they did mention, and it had to do with costing for the dredging. And I think Michael Canales is here to address the dredging update. So as soon as I know more from GZA in Connecticut, that'll come up. I'll brief everybody in the next meeting. In the meantime, we can move on to the update on the dredging project permitting progress.
So I'm gonna hand out the last sheet of a long email from GZA that I hate to say it, it came in
Thank you.
last night and only saw it this morning. So really haven't had too much time to digest. But what was asked, they had presented to the select board back in May, the beginning of May, about the status of the project. And then there were certain items because they've sat, like their original NEPA filing is no longer any good. There were things they were gonna have to redo. So we had asked them at that point to update. They said they'd have it to us within a week or so. So I reached out and said, hey, how about that update? So they said they'd work on it, and they actually got it to us for this morning's meeting. The problem is just getting it and just trying to read through. But you can see this is the end table of the additional costs that they're looking at to complete the work to get us to the 70% design phase. And that's additional cost right now between $100,000 and $112,000.
Drop in the bucket.
Well-
Chair, Madam Chair. Just curious, does this represent change requests or just the fact that GZA just thinks they can bill us whatever they want?
Some of it, like I said, some of it was anticipated that the NOI was gonna need to be updated. The NEPA filing was gonna have to be updated based on the decision to go to Bullard's Woods. So those aren't the surprise. I think some of these are like the water quality certification, why is that one now so much more? That, and like I said, I really haven't been able to dig into this that much. And this might be one that Michael Nathan or even Roxanne might know a little bit more about from there. What part of, why would the water quality one be such an increase?
I can, go ahead, Roxanne.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Wetlands NOI says there's a remaining budget of $6,500 and there's an additional cost of $7,500.
Right, their original budget proposal. So.
Right, but then they're coming up with total cost of completion for 14, so how are they coming up with that? They're adding
The
both
two together, yeah. But what we don't have is we don't have the column additional costs. And instead of being
Right,
the smaller ones, like even that one at 7,500, we have two very large ones in
so
there.
when they're talking additional costs, they're talking over and above
Yes,
the remaining budget, okay.
The water quality certification, I think maybe we got to get Greg into this also, into this conversation, but I don't remember a discussion on that. Do you, Roxanne?
No,
So, which is a large piece of this cost.
it's more than half of it.
Yeah, but it says remaining budget. So in other words, did we pay anything already,
Well, that's.
Michael?
Like I said, that's what I haven't been able to.
Okay, okay, I apologize.
And, right, did we already do the water, we weren't ready to move on the work, because we hadn't decided which direction, so why would they have already spent the wall?
Well, not only that, but we don't even have, to the best of my knowledge, we don't have the go-ahead from NHESP to do certain things. I mean, it's sort of still in that negotiation of things that we have to do that they want to see done, in order what's the terminology it'll come to me. But, of things like not lower the water, the table, things, about 6 things that GZA put.
Procedures.
No, but there's a thing to mitigate. Oh, the mitigating, what we have to do. And the second thing is they want to see a lake management plan. So are these things jumping ahead of?
Well, what
They're
GZA,
anticipated actions that are gonna need to be taken after we get the permitting.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. That's what I'm trying to get to.
A part of it doesn't understand.
All right. I apologize.
My water
Right.
quality certification only has 5,000 remaining. We have to come up with 54 to 59 more.
Right.
That's a piece of work that, at least my initial look at it that shouldn't even been,
Touched.
done until we're in the next phase. So why?
But you're saying that this hasn't been done yet.
Yeah, all this items have not been done yet.
Oh, so they're just they're giving you an anticipation. Okay, over 3, yeah.
Could be.
And
Yeah.
I just want to point out that we haven't even started water quality certification. And if they bid it wrong, it's their problem. If we didn't do a change request, I don't understand how we have a vendor that thinks they can just decide after the fact how to get 55 grand extra out of us. I mean, a whole new harvester that that we don't have the money for right now is what, a couple $100,000. That's literally what, half of what they're saying the additional costs are. And I'm just venting a little
One thing
bit.
that we have to do, and, Mike is the
may
disadvantage.
be
of
on-
business
this may
loan
be
numbers so long,
ongoing.
But I think we need to determine what was the original budget for all these items. They have numbers here. We need to determine what are the numbers that we had as our original budget numbers? And if there's a discrepancy between, like, for instance, water quality certification, between what the original budget was, and we know nothing was done, and this 5,000, well,
And
how did that happen?
are we going to get the same pushback on the lake management plan where they gave us the number and they didn't really get it right and then they're going to double it? That's my fear.
No, we have a contract.
We don't have the contract for dredging?
We do, the contract is quite old.
It's
And then so like I said, some of these, like the MEPA filing, the wetland NOI, the chapter 91 permit, the NHP process and NPDES SWIP, those were all anticipated because we changed, those had already been lined up like 5 years ago, but they now need to be updated. So I'm not surprised at those. The development of the 70% design, that might have something to do with what we're doing with the Bullard Woods. The one that I don't understand is the largest one, the water quality certification, because that shouldn't have happened. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why all of a sudden that one is this.
Let me just say one thing. When they gave us a quote, first of all, I'm going to say, you got to know the history of, and the history of GZA. I've been with them now for 10 years working with them. So our first contract was not to exceed. And then they said, forget that, we're going to exceed it. So they have a tendency of doing this. But sometimes they put in things like when they put in the quote for 4 million or 5 million, they put a huge amount for moving machinery
Right.
from A to B, $800,000 or something they put in. So I think what happens is until we really talk to them and send this to Greg, we should send a copy to Greg. And Greg is really the person I think that needs to talk to them because he knows, he's done this, mechanically or whatever it is. So maybe you and Greg and Roxanne should have a meeting with GZA is my suggestion and ask them to go through these things because they have a tendency of throwing these numbers out.
Well, and I would at
And
least,
Greg is great because he really is a no nonsense.
yeah, he'll hold the line.
He'll hold the line and he'll tell you whether this makes sense or not. Just like the moving of the machinery, 800,000, he says, I'll go pick it up myself for $800,000.
Well, and speaking as a contractor, he has some clout because
Yeah.
he has knowledge of how these things work.
Right.
All righty. Do we have any questions from the public at this point?
I don't think we have.
I don't. We do. They're all showing.
Can I ask who's on the, who's out there?
Yeah, can you change it, Mike?
There is, if you go to the participants.
John is co-chair. You need to learn how to.
I have to learn how to do that.
Manage participants in, sorry, it's under the camera. Camera controls. No, so it's not it. Which one is it? Oh,
Are you working today?
Yeah,
let's see.
yeah. Calm down.
So actually, there are like.
Till what time do you work?
people on, and I want to show
Well, how do we do it? Oh, maybe because they're not on camera?
My wife just.
them. Oh, yeah, they're not even on camera at all.
Froze.
They're not just,
Now what do we do?
We can still see the.
I always have stuff
We did the select board meeting.
I do too.
Never
I've been
had.
retired 15 years.
oh, show not.
So we can't see it on the.
There we go, yeah.
Oh,
I had to find the right button.
right.
All righty.
Lori.
Okay, well, I don't see any hands up, so, anyway, I was just gonna list through the stakeholder updates. The Board of Health is being represented by Jim Willis, as we discussed, he's a voting member now. Water Department is Mike Buffoni, voting member. Water and Sewer Commission, John Loyadici, voting member. SBA, Michael Nathan, voting member. Select Board is now represented, and welcome back, Patrick.
Really?
And voting member, and Stockbridge Harbor Master Gary Kleinerman is a non-voting member, and I am now representing the Stockbridge Sportsman's Club. And one thing I wanted to say, it was very interesting going to their meeting the other night. Is like the first Tuesday of every month. And they were really interested, and they're very excited. And one thing that I put out there to them is I said, look, one part of our lake management plan that we have to address is putting together all these inventories. You know, we really should inventory what we have in that environment. So the insects, the mollusks, et cetera, et cetera. We can get the fish easy enough. We can get the birds easy enough. But some of these things, and also maybe if anybody is an expert in plant life, I don't know, but they're out there a lot, and they're out in this environment a lot. And we're all carrying around pretty high quality cameras on our phones these days. So I said, so that might be one way that that entire membership might be able to contribute in terms of just gathering information. When they see an insect, snap a picture. And let's just start keeping a tally and an inventory of what we see that's out there, because I don't really want to lose anything if we can help it. We have like a really diverse ecosystem there. Patrick?
Also, I just want to remind everyone that 3 summers ago, Tom Coote and his team went out to Lily Pond, which is the major feeder pond, and did a wildlife survey that included, kind of looking for endangered species. But they did a pretty comprehensive list of what the flora and fauna were there. And it was actually a really great project to get people out in the field checking things out. And they found some ancillary things that they wanted the town to address. And I just thought maybe as a compliment to what you're saying, that, doing that inventory, there's some great students down there at Simon's Rock that could help,
Oh, yeah, and I think
Tom,
maybe
with Tom's team.
UMass, maybe we can get people
Yeah.
out too.
Yeah.
Kind of want to make a phone call to UMass.
Well, we should try to get UMass to give the students credits. In other words, so it's sort of like a way of paying them indirectly.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And the one thing I remember Tom LaBelle saying to me a couple of years ago is he had actually identified some other rare plant. And I want to get it in touch with him. Do you know about that, John?
Yeah, I remember, but I can't remember what it was.
But I mean, yeah, we have all these resources and yeah, we want to garner all this information,
The
so.
crows and there's been some pretty big, turf wars down there at that lake. I'll tell you, I saw yesterday, the crow attacking the hawk as it tried to escort it out, and the hawk then attacking the crow back. It was really fascinating, actually.
I have a question for John Hart.
So,
Is the Conservation Commission having Tom Coote come out again this summer to do the plant survey?
Tom Coote I'm trying to remember if he's already been booked or not. There's been discussion about it, but I'm not sure.
Do you know, Michael?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, book?
Yeah, Ron stopped and
When you say he's booked, is that a yes or
he's doing.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if he's booked and can't come. Oh,
I don't recall
Or
when.
maybe, I don't know.
No, didn't have a date yet.
Yeah, that's the.
Good, that's great news.
All righty, so I think we've covered the bases and we can catch up on minutes, I think, at the next meeting. There'll be a number of them, but, we can handle that the next.
So I see Pat. Hi, Pat, how are you? Pat? Pat?
Muted.
That's muted.
Pat's
I
muted.
have to unmute myself. I'm fine, thank you.
So just so that we get some clarification, we got new test plots. We're holding off on the main lake harvesting while those test plots are reviewed by DEP. Is that the plan? Is that?
That's correct.
Yeah, so right now, there's the proposed test plots plus our current harvesting NOI says that we can't enter the active test plots. So
Right.
until DEP switches them, we have the proposed ones and the
And do we have?
actual ones that we can't go in. We did already begin the cutting of the inlet.
The outlet.
But as soon as we're notified from the SBA that it's done and we could, and DEP tells us, yes, these are where the test plots will be, then we'll adjust.
And do we have have you had a chance to talk to Brian or anyone from DEP?
I had left a message with
Right.
Brian, but right now, yeah, they are, like I said, they are proposed slot. We have to stay out of the proposed cutting and we have to stay out of the existing ones, so.
So does,
Hopefully we'll hear soon.
so are we holding off the harvester around the perimeter of the larger part of the lake?
Yes.
No, I know we are. I didn't mean that to be the end of the sentence. I meant, is there any part of the perimeter of the lake that
Small little spots.
just
that are not
worth
included, and then we don't have
And we-
GPS locations yet
to know.
for the proposed ones. So
Okay.
There's some things in order to meet our permit requirements that we need to get done. I know SBA is working as quickly as they can to try to get this finalized so then we can begin.
Pat, do you have a sense of when this will come up so that the harvester?
Yeah, Mike, we have, when we did the first submission, they asked for additional information, which we have submitted to them. And in the beginning, they said a week to 10 days. Mike, I'm wondering if I put in a call to Brian, because it's not making any sense to me since our proposed test plots in no way are close to the original ones. And that's what they're reviewing, why they wouldn't let you do that immediately. It could be a phone call from us with a request and see if we can get him to let loose on that a little bit earlier. Do you think that makes sense, Mike?
That was actually what I had called and left a message asking about, but if they haven't made a determination to swap them, then it could just come down to the technicality that we're not allowed to cut in the existing ones until they're swapped out.
But you know what, Mike, let me put in a call because I don't think it can hurt. It's
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
basically making the same request that you did of Brian, so I will do that.
It's really two calls though, because the additional information pack came from NHESP, which is Misty Ann, which rolls up through DCR. That has nothing to do with DEP's control over the order of conditions, which is basically the governing authority for whether we can harvest or not. So we really need to not only deal with NHESP's questions, we also have to get to DEP and make sure that they will swap the test plots. I mean,
Pat, did you?
I'm sorry, what questions are you referring to from NHS?
questions from NHESP had to do with the request for additional information.
Right, that's not ours, that's SBA.
I'm just saying though, that DEP won't take an action until the NHESP stuff is resolved.
And that's why I don't think they're gonna say we can do anything with.
Yeah, I know. I'm just pointing out that we've got a lot of moving parts.
Pat,
Right, but Patrick, I'm trusting Brian Harrington to take care of that within his own department with NHESP and DEP.
All right, good.
Pat may makes a suggestion. Just maybe you want to send a email to Misty Ann Merrill, just as a reminder that the town would like to start, or however you want to phrase it, but just to make sure that they communicate with each other, you know? It doesn't hurt to let both know.
Yeah, letting both know, I think, is appropriate.
Just let
Telling them to
both know.
communicate with each other might be viewed a little negatively.
You know, I think we're so concerned with the positive and negative to a point, but we only have a short summer. And sometimes a little bit of pushing it might be necessary. I hate to put that on you, but that's just, I know how they are. They'll kick the can down the road.
I will copy Ms.
Yeah.
DeGan on anything
Yeah.
I sent to Brian.
Yeah,
Ain't gonna happen.
that's sufficient.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I did have a question for Gary. There's, and I've mentioned this to Michael too. There's a boat that's at the beach in the basement. In the basement of the, where the lifeguards hang out, sort of like where they keep their stuff. Does that have a motor, and is that like a harbor master boat, or that was from way back when they would do training, I believe, lifeguard certification there?
I vaguely remember them having an aluminum boat.
They do. I just don't know if there's a motor that goes with it.
I don't think
so. Okay.
I don't think so. Other thing I know we have in there, we have 2 pieces of dock, which I want to see if we're there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Are there oars? Is
It might be oars.
What's the reasoning behind that question?
Well, just,
Take it
sometimes, no, you're right. I already have, I'm on the other end. No, it was just, if there was, sometimes, whether it's for getting samples or doing whatever that, especially around the stuff that you were talking about around the wildlife and such. As a boat, I wanted to know if it's down to.
I have an aluminum boat that I never use. I'm pretty sure it's still perfect. If the town needs it or can use it or whatever, I can put it in the water and let me know. Michael, if you come across a need. Yeah.
Good. I don't want to take it off.
All righty. So I think that sums it up for today.
I think you want to talk about the harvester
Oh,
itself?
yeah, let's get a harvester report. Is that okay?
Is that okay? You got
We're not
it?
taking any action on it.
No, I need just to know. And my opinion my opinion is that I think, is there any way to put a motor on the back of that thing, like a 50 horsepower motor on the back of the harvester?
Small one you're thinking.
I have a 25 horsepower engine on my pontoon, and I pulled the harvester last year that was upside down with my little 25 horsepower. I can't imagine that an auxiliary or something on the big one won't help it. It took me an hour and a half fighting the winds to get back from the island basically to the ramp. It was really a labor. I mean, well, maybe I'm 71, maybe a 30-year-old wouldn't have the same issues, but I'm telling you, it's draining to use. And I sent a report to Michael and to Patrick and to Roxanne. I didn't send it. I'll send it to you.
Texted me.
I texted you. Yeah.
You told me it was cumbersome.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And, but I really think we should be looking at the harvester situation. I know we can't do anything for this year, but if someone comes on with an ingenious idea just to get the harvester to the lake, to the island in half the time, because it's 3 hours round trip of doing nothing.
You gotta remember, this is a temporary situation.
Yeah,
We're
but
still
we have-
waiting for this engine. There's all these delays. I think, though, it's appropriate for this commission to look at, okay, what are our alternatives for the future? Because I think that the old huge harvester probably should just be named, we call it surplus. We deem it surplus and we get rid of it. But what is the long-term solution to this, and what are all the different possibilities? I think you don't want to just run out and say, well, we're going to spend X number of dollars on a brand new harvester without doing the research and deciding maybe what's the best approach here.
You don't need a brand new harvester.
Yeah, you don't, yeah. Don't
Get one that's 5 years old.
That's what I
It's going to
wrote.
have a brand new engine.
Yeah.
But I think it's appropriate, though, then to look at ahead of time, before we end up like this again,
Right.
to determine what's the way we want to go.
I totally agree. However, it needs to be started now if we even think of getting one for next year or the year after, because they don't, unless someone comes up, like the blue one came up and we were lucky to get that. What?
I did have a chance to.
Yeah. Oh, you have some information?
I just, for something else, I've stayed in touch with Jane Doffenbach, who's the president of Aquarius that sold us the blue one. And these are just a little couple of factoids for you. One, the lead time on a new harvester is 1.5 years.
Yeah.
Because of supply chain issues. And because of that, every single loaner harvester on the planet is somewhere between North and South America. Everybody wants them. They're impossible to get. Same with the used ones. There just is no inventory for these devices, and it's an 18-month lead time. So
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
we're gonna do so, I mean, first of all, I think the blue one, from all sounds of it, is gonna, once the new engine is on, is gonna be fantastic. Having said that, as we found last year, it makes sense to invest in capital equipment, like at the highway department, because that completely reduces the need for people to use duct tape and rubber bands to keep these ancient pieces of equipment running. And I think that same thinking at some point is going to need to apply to the old harvester, which is 45 years old, and then the brand spanking new one, which is 30 years old. And at some point, these are devices that are, in the grand scheme of things, relatively inexpensive compared to a lot of the capital investments the town makes. And there may be an advantage to get the guys to be able to focus on doing their job rather than constantly repairing these ancient pieces of equipment, to sort of take a look at that. So all I'm saying is, to your point, getting started soon is not a bad idea. I think this might be an action we want to take sometime in the next 18 months to 3 years.
Right. The thing is that having driven this big one and having driven last year and the year before the smaller one, there's an advantage to a slightly bit. I'm just saying that what we should do is get together and decide what size, just the parameters of what we need, so that we can then go out and Aquarius isn't the only manufacturer of these. There are a few that we should reach out to all of them, but this one is very hard to maneuver, and the advantage is that it carries more, so the highway department doesn't need to turn around right away with like the smaller one. So because the smaller one doesn't carry as much, it needs to be emptied more often. And so the highway department has to be there if the blue one wants to go out again, where the green one takes twice as much. So there's an advantage to the size, not to the green one per se, but to the size of it, or something maybe just slightly smaller. But for the driver, you'll get many more drivers, I think, when it's easier. It won't be so imposing. You'll have people that the small one is just a pleasure, relatively speaking.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of different options. I
Yeah.
think there's even robotic options.
Well, you don't want to go there.
On the other hand, no, but
No.
I think it's something to look at. You look at what
Oh,
all the
great.
options are, but it's a future agenda item, and I think it's certainly worth looking into, because you don't want to be caught up short.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is the situation we have to deal with for now.
No, I understand that, but that doesn't mean that we can't discuss it. That's all.
We had a
Yeah.
vendor stop by the treatment plant and the highway garage about a month ago. There's a manufacturer, and probably from I think the Michigan, Wisconsin areas, seems like that's where they all are. And dropped off a card. I gave him the Huey, but he just sold two machines, one in northwest Connecticut, and one just over the line in New York somewhere. And it was in the neighborhood. And I think he worked on the big one when they were making it. He worked for.
So there was a German gentleman who worked on ours. I don't know if you knew. Well, I think he moved to Florida from. I think I might have his address, but we could. I mean, through the internet or whatever it is, there's got to be an association somehow that all these people are members of.
You just call 10 Lakes and see what the brands are.
Well, they were building the big green one, 25, 27, 30. Was it 30 years old?
Yeah.
Been around too long, but
70s.
they don't use the paddles really. They use they use screws now. And they have an option that I think was available even with the green one of the jet, like the little propulsion.
So
You can travel quicker. We used to move the conveyor all around, so you didn't have to drive the thing all over the place.
Right.
On the wind,
You mean
a parachute, that's.
a forward thruster?
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the chain, two boats and a chain option,
Well, you know what? I was going to call Stu. Stu, I was almost going to call you up to get your intake on pulling this thing, helping me, like, just to get it across the lake so we don't waste an hour and a half. But anyway, I was just thinking of everything that we could do. Once you're on the lake and you go to perimeter, it's okay because you're working it. But when you go to the island, you're not working it. You're just driving it.
On a rainy day, that thing's.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then-
I'd be happy to join that convoy, Michael.
Thank you, Stu.
The bottom line is we need a new one.
Yes,
An update
but I'm
on
talking
the-
just for this year, for this
Testing.
summer.
We are going out next week, the 6th, I believe.
Okay.
We're going out Wednesday to get samples. And
Is,
GZA is coming out because it's the July round.
they're coming for the July 6th?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
All right.
okay, great.
Motion adjourned, maybe?
All right, any other business? Any other questions or comments from the public? You have a question, Gary?
Just one thing that just lets you guys know that there's a new mollusk, I'd say it, that has been found in Lake Anota. That is an invasive species that we're watching out for too. Yeah,
Oh, one-
it's
Do we
around.
know the name of this thing?
I do, but not on the tip of my tongue.
Okay.
One,
I think I've heard it too, and I can't.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Did we ever staff the beach this year? I'm just asking about, because sometimes people were bringing like, certain types of craft down there, and last year, like the lifeguards were having to tell them they couldn't.
We advertised for 2 months and had no applicants.
So we-
Lifeguards, so right now we don't. We have staff that goes up in the morning, staff that goes up.
So basically,
Spot check, but is there constantly somebody there? No.
so, I'm just worried a little bit about people launching things from there. If we got,
We're putting 3 pieces of Alumidoc in over there for the Stockbridge Bowl Day. I'm wondering if we couldn't leave them in on the north side of the beach, where the swamp grass is grown up. We could put it right through there. It would give the kayakers access, so they wouldn't have to keep, coming around.
doing that, yeah, we actually funded that.
Project
We
that's
funded to
been
move
funded.
the other one up to there, that's on the lake.
What
On the river to move up there because we need to do NOIs and the rest just to get through
The swamp
the
grass.
grass that's there.
Gotta get rid of that.
Yeah, no, it's all
That's
invasive.
another
Yeah.
thing that's been funded though through CPA funds.
Well,
I mean,
where can I?
that will be cleaned up.
When I put the docks in, where can I put them? Over on the other side?
It's gotta be at the beach, right?
On the Beechwood side of it, okay.
Gary, what we're talking about was people were bringing down, canoes and kayaks from the outside, not the ones that are stored there.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about those.
No, they've-
I'm worried to your point about mollusks and Onoda. Oneida, you said, or Onoda?
Onoda.
Onoda. Oh, too bad. Oneida is like 4 hours away.
There is signage to not launch boats, so.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I just have one last question. Do you know anything about with the divers that picked, how did that work? How did that go? What was the end result of the invasives that were just done?
Chestnuts.
Chestnuts?
Oh, the water chestnuts?
Yeah, can you just, do you have just an update of what conclusions they came to, or how?
They didn't find as many, a tremendous amount of them, so they were able to spread the amount of area they were able to go through. But then there was one, afterwards, I got an email from Chuck Culver that there was a section off to the side, so I've reached out to Lori to go see if they'll, from Aquatic Roots, to take a look at that.
I'm just thinking if we took a picture, I mean, this sounds sort of primitive, but if we took a picture and put it where the boat ramp is of this thing with these, like, if you see this, please tell, if you see this plant, tell the zebra mussel people at the hut that you've seen this and where, so that they could just write it down. I mean, we have so many eyes and ears out on the lake that if they see that, because I don't even know what it looks like. If I saw it, I wouldn't know what it is, but if I saw a picture of it on the boat ramp, that area or something, that I might, just a thought.
Can you roast them?
Just also, this is another thing that came up at the Sportsman's Club meeting. And there was the suggestion that the zebra mussel, that was a good area to share information. So, and I thought that was a great suggestion because that's true of all of us, whether you're Conservation Commission, you're the SBSC, et cetera. It's a good place because people are going to be there. There'll be eyes on that information, whatever we tend to
Yeah.
post. So something to keep in mind.
And moving that docking system up from the river, which has zebra mussels in it, we need to be cautious of. I know it
Bring it to the boat ramp.
It hasn't
Flush it down.
been in the river for a couple of years.
Let it dry out.
It's
okay.
up in the
It's okay.
ballpark.
Okay.
multiple
And
times.
while we're talking about that, the Berkshire County League of Sportsmen, of which the Stockbridge Sportsman's Club is a member, have on multiple occasions asked us to think about redesigning the notifications to make them, because there's like signs all over the place on the boat ramp, and just like do one big master sign that lists the rules and lists the issues and tells people what to do so that people don't miss information, because not misinformation, but MISS, you have some important information.
Ignore.
You know, and it might just be something that we want to think about funding, just a big new sign to, consolidate that, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty, so, public, this is your last chance if you have a comment or a question. All right, I see no hands up, so I move to adjourn.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.